Welcome to the Game Changer 00100 show. I'm your host, Game Changer, and today we are going to talk about the movie Ma and how it got black women looking crazy. I mean, crazy. Y'all talk about that movie, the preview, LaQuisha or something like that, with the white guy pretending to be a black woman over the radio. But y'all overlooked this one. This movie is a trip. It got black women looking crazy. Now, um, before I continue, this is a spoiler movie, or this is a spoiler review. So, those of you who haven't seen it and want to see it, go ahead and end now, but don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. And the rest of you, let's review the movie together. All right. So, movies like this are not really uncommon. You see it all the time. I know that's a double negative, but you see movies like this quite often. You see movies like Misery, basically The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, movies where they show a obsessed, movies where they show a woman who, for whatever reason, is obsessed with a person or a group of people. They want to be a part of their lives, and it shows the crazy aspect of it, how crazy they get in order to do it. Now, I've seen a couple of like B-rated movies where the star was a black woman. She was the crazy one who was obsessed with something. Now, particularly sometimes it's a black man. Like I say, these are like B-rated movies. The one that comes to mind was one called a single black female. I think she was obsessed with somebody who um with a black guy that dumped her or something like that. But these are few and far between. Now, um, this one was interesting because it featured a black woman who was infatuated with not only a white guy, the Chad of their high school, but white society in general. She was an outsider. It wasn't like the situation on Clueless where Stacey Dash was the shit and, the white chick was less hot, but she was the main character. No, she was a complete outcast in the high school that she went to. The white kids decided as a joke, um, they decided to make her feel like she was part of the in crowd. For a little bit, but it was a means to an end. So they did that. She felt a little comfortable, really. I mean, not much. They just took her out to a campsite and have drinks. Not anything major. But for a second, she felt like one of them, and that's all it took. So in the next scene, one of the white girls, the Heather or the Tiffany or whatever you want to call the alpha white female, the blonde of the bunch, name Mercedes in this case. She took, so she told her that the jawline nigga to school, the alpha, was interested in her. And she actually didn't say that. She just said that he wants you to meet him in the janitor's closet after school or after class. I think I forget which one it was, but basically after everything was done, meet him in the janitor's closet. So, after class or school or what have you, they went to the janitor's closet, or she went to the janitor's closet rather. But before she did that, the blonde girl, she said she taught her how to suck dick. And all she did was tell her to get on her knees and put it in her mouth and move her head back to back. And, with no reservations or hesitations, she's like, okay, this is, white guy says suck dick and white woman tells me how to. I am going to suck. I am just going to get into a janitor's closet, get on my knees and suck some dick with the lights out. That's what I'm going to do. It's my first time sucking dick, and this is how I want my first time to be. Now, keep in mind that I know the actress that plays her as an adult was is a big woman. She's a big woman and not really what anybody would call attractive by convention. So, so that was, but however, as a younger lady, it was nothing wrong. The actress that played her as a younger lady, nothing wrong there. Just a regular, high school girl. No major pluses or minuses. She wasn't fat. That's an absence of a negative. I wouldn't call that a positive, but definitely somebody that a young man, particularly a black man, would have on his arm and walk around and be proud of. Um, that wasn't the case. This is a small town, very few black people. She was one of very, very few. So she goes in a closet, gets on her knees, and sucks some dick as she's told. And when she was done, you know, she stood up and she said, did I do okay? Did you like it? You know, because she's eager to please. She wants to make sure that this man is properly pleased. And no sense of her own self-worth or image or reputation. Guards completely down. She got on her knees and sucked that dick. And she said, "Will you talk to me tomorrow? Not call me, not, not not write me, not, not well, you didn't they didn't really text back then because this is, they did like a past of how she got crazy. They did a flashback of how she got crazy. Not walk around with me arm in arm in front of all of your white friends. Nope. Will you just talk to me? If you see me in the hall, will you acknowledge me? Will you say hi? Will you give like a brother nod to me? Would you just look away and then just kind of shake your hand in the pocket a little bit to acknowledge that I exist? Will you talk to me tomorrow? That is how desperate this chick is. Um, and he said, well, let's step outside first. So she steps outside, and the guy whose dick she thought she was sucking, Ben, was actually outside, along with about 30 other students, all laughing at her. And then the guys who dick she actually sucks come stepping out the janitor's closet. So, she's humiliated, she runs away. Now, before I go further, I did the flashback first because, to give you some history on her. Before I go any further, I want to point out that this is a written by a white man. This is how white guys see black women as. See, it's very important that they made it a point to not write her as a fat or um, overly unattractive little girl. They made it a point to because what they're sending a message with this. The writer sent a message with this that he wanted to send, and that is black women are just thirsty for white validation. And that type of thirst in any other race should come from some like a fat girl should want to be accepted. Um a overly skinny girl, I've seen a movie like that, should want to be accepted. A girl with a scar on her face, a girl who is just otherwise unattractive, should have this desperate need to feel accepted by the quote unquote social elites of that high school. That wa- that was not the case. She was just black. And because they're the race of women who write books on how to get white men, and I'm not talking about just the shit that Crystal Carosin has, though those are some of them, probably more popular ones. But there are books about this shit. They're coming off as thirsty as fuck, and white guys are noticing it. So by default, she was looked at as thirsty. By default, nothing else wrong. She's just thirsty for a man that didn't really want her. You know, this and this. By the way, the writer is a white guy. This is interesting how much he didn't, because basically this guy really had a choice. He can either have her suck his dick each and every single day for the rest of the school year, or each and every single school day for the rest of the school year, or he can make fun of her. He made fun of her. Now, the cost of the blowjob, of getting her to suck his dick each and every single day for the rest of the school year and possibly next school year, I don't know what grade they were in, but basically until the end of the college career, wouldn't have cost him, like he had to take her to prom, he had to take her out from time to time. Nope. All he had to do was say hi to her when he seen her. When he's walking down the halls with his white girlfriend, he just had to acknowledge that she existed, and he would have had 365 blowjobs a year, maybe more. But from the writer's point of view, she is so undervalued that he would just rather make fun of her. Could have had her virginity, but he would rather have just made fun of her. The shit was just crazy as fuck. Um, how interested in and how interested and in him that she was, and how uninterested he was in her. And that is a reflection of modern society. That is how white guys, as a white writer, are starting to see. They actually already do, completely see black women. They see them as always more interested in them than the white guy is of them. I mean, where are the books telling white guys how to get with black women? There isn't any, because you don't need instruction. He didn't read a book on how to seduce her. He just told his girlfriend, tell her to meet me in the janitor's closet. Well, what the fuck? That's how they see them. Okay, so back to the movie. All right, so time passes. They both grow up. She grows up to be the woman, that we all seen in the preview, and he grows up too. However, he has a son who's also in that high school. They're probably around 15 or 16. Now, she runs into the son. He was attempting to buy alcohol, and um, they need an adult to do it. So she decided to, risk imprisonment to buy minors alcohol, because, the boy reminded him of the father who humiliated her, who disrespect, degraded, and humiliated her. But she still had this infatuation with the image of him, the son. So, she did as commanded. And then, I'm gonna skip some scenes, but and then later she convinced them to start drinking and partying in her basement. That's her. That was going to be the new kick it spot. Um, Now something interesting happened. So their group, their clique, consisted of five people: three boys, one girl. You had the jock or the super Chad, the jawline wigger, and then you had the innocent, and he's the son of the guy that she was interested in high school. You had the innocent kid, the one that don't drink, that plays it nice. He's more cute than he is athletically developed, that type. And then you had the token black guy, who's just there. Now, keep in mind that he didn't have the same need to fit in. He just naturally fit in with them without compromising his blackness. He constantly makes reference to the fact that he is black. So this wasn't like a hick town, or they didn't do it because, she was racist, or because they were racist or something like that. They did it because, she was thirsty as hell, and it was obvious. Um, so I'm talking about what they did to her in high school. So, and then there's the new girl in school. She's also the innocent, and then there is the girl, the established girl, who is written kind of as more promiscuous. She is the blonde, slutty type, caricature that we all are accustomed to when you see these type of movies. So, though that is their crew. So she invite these people over to her house in her basement, And the jawline wigger, the jock, the Chad, whatever you want to call him, started suggesting stuff like, oh, you need some wallpaper here, you need a couch here, you need this, this, and this, you need a projector. And she was like, that's fine if I were rich, you know. And then he gets in her face and says, well, it would be cool. Don't you want to be cool? So basically, they know exactly how to manipulate her. They're basically what he's saying is you want to fit in with us and you should do as you're told. It worked in high school. They see that. They see that in these women and they are playing on it. The writer have seen this his whole life. They are playing. You want to be cool, don't you? Well, this is what you do, you know. So, he was staring her down, and I don't know if he was trying to seduce her or intimidate her or whatever, but it was weird. But so what she did is she pulls a gun out, and tell him to strip. That's right. She tells an underage boy to strip in her basement in front of witnesses at gunpoint. So she is about to risk going to jail. I mean, I don't know what the charge is for something like that is, childhood pedophilia, but I mean, like all kind of stuff. They can just run a list of shit on her and have her arrested. So he strips and then she said, "Oh, this gun isn't even loaded," and just ended it like that, like ha ha ha, and then they laughed it off too. Um, but throughout the whole thing, they kept saying, oh wow, they kept behind her back saying, she's desperate, she horny, she wants this the innocent white kid real bad. They see it in her. So they see that she is thirsty. And instead of her just saying no, I'm going to stay away from a chick who is interested in little boys like that, they decided to exploit her just like what has been happening her entire life. She was getting exploited. Okay, so continue a little bit further. So basically, her place became like the new hotspot, the new party central for teenagers. A bunch of white kids and that one black kid who, once again, had no problem um, fitting in with the white kids. He didn't have the same problem that she had. He didn't have to suck a dick to be down. He just kind of naturally fit in. All right. So then she became a little too clingy, a little too thirsty, over texting. You know how it is. You know how when somebody's too thirsty, just demanding too much attention. And the fact that she is twice their age, calling them girlfriend and shit like that. Hey, why don't you come over to my house? Like, they like, damn, not on a school night. I got homework and shit. Like she just kept seeking that high school validation. She's constantly trying to recreate it. Actually, you know who she reminded me of? I was thinking about this when I was watching the movie. You know who she reminds me of? She reminds me of Crystalline Karazen. You see, a lot of you may not know this, but Crystalline Karazen had a very similar story, except the races were reversed. That's really the only difference. Crystalline Karazen sucked a dick to be a part of, the in crowd, the black in crowd of her high school. So she sucked this nigga's dick. And keep in mind that he asked to fuck her. She said, "No, I'm a virgin, but I can do this. You just got to show me how." I think it was her first time sucking dick too. And then the girls who went there with her, who because it's always a team effort. They brought her there, set her up to suck the dick, told her it was okay, this is what we all do, and they went back and made fun of her. Now, keep in mind that women who suck dick also made fun of her. Like they all made fun of Crystal and Kerrison, and now she's on this revenge rampage, just like the woman in the movie. So a lot of parallels here, a lot of parallels. All right, so back to the movie. So her basement is now the new hot spot, and she has a secret, but we'll get into that later. Okay. So, she became too thirsty. The kids started pulling away from her. She tried desperately to pull them back into her basement. And then she started stealing their shit, when they were asleep, poisoning their drinks, all kind of weird shit. Stealing the little girl's jewelry and just weird shit, right? So they decided to stay the fuck away from her, you know. The little white girl, when she was asking, hey, you kids want to come over to my house and party? Like when she kept doing that, the little, the blonde one, the slutty one, said, damn, don't you have a job or don't you have a man and shit like that? Like that's how they talk to adults when, when they come off that desperate to be down. That's how they talk, and they see that in her, just like they seen it in her in high school. So, shit. All right, let me pause for a second. Let me just take a break, gather my thoughts for a second. All right, back. Okay, so they recognize her as desperate, lonely, trying to fit in, trying to be young again, trying to be down with the in crowd, and they are still exploiting her until they send a blast text message telling everybody to stay the fuck away from her. Then she lies and says she has cancer to get them to come back. I kid you not. So the the two young girls break into the house to get their shit back. They realize that she's stealing shit. And what do they find? She has a goddamn daughter. Now, I have to remind you again that this is a white guy writing this movie. Now, you know how people like Tommy Sotomayor say the worst stewards of children ever. I think that they think that the reputation is limited to black guys. Like we're the only ones that see that shit. So basically, she has a daughter that she was giving animal tranquilizers to keep her sick. Now, there is a syndrome out there for this particular type of behavior or for a very similar type of behavior. It's called Munchausen syndrome. And that's basically when a woman who wants attention will sicken her kids, typically younger, will sicken her kids to be seen, just to be seen as a nurturing figure, just for that image, just so they can say, I am, look at me, I am a nurturing person, I am nurturing my kids, just to nurture their kids and to be seen doing so. That's Munchausen syndrome. She, however, does not have Munchausen syndrome because she was poisoning her daughter in private. In fact, nobody even knew that she was her daughter. In fact, when all the other kids were partying in the basement and her daughter wanted to join, she kept her daughter upstairs locked in a room. And she put so much poison in her that she was wheelchair bound and, she was made to go to school in a wheelchair. It was all kinds of fucked up the way she was treating this girl. Now, keep in mind, so she understands how horrible it is, and this is another thing that black people, both men and women, do to their children. They want their child's childhood to be as fucked up as theirs. And I'll give you an example. I didn't have an allowance when I grew up. I went to this school, I went to Eastside High, and it's like the roughest school in the country or some shit like that. I went there. Or, I didn't have a car when I was your age. So they'll say shit like that. I mean, it's like, yeah, but didn't you want one? I mean, your parents probably weren't in a position to give you an allowance, but you are. and you're just not doing it because you feel that there's something divine with mimicking your own fucked up childhood. So we see that a lot. So it seems like it wasn't Munchausen syndrome. She just wanted her daughter to have a fucked up childhood, her dark skinned daughter. Now, through all the bullshit that she was going through all the shittiness that she went through in high school or whatnot, she actually got married and got impregnated by a black man. And you could tell because the daughter is dark skinned. The black man was nowhere around. He's not even in the picture in the movie at all. So I don't know what's his relationship, but he absolutely has no access to his daughter, or else he would not be he would not leave her stuck with this crazy bitch. So obviously crazy bitch. But we don't know. We're only speculating. All I know is that looking at the daughter and looking at her, the father was not white. So another case of a black man taking the white man's leftover. I mean, I wonder how hard was it for him to get a blowjob in a janitor's closet. Just saying. You know, it's funny because white guys know this. Like, like you hear brothers complain that black women are different with white men than they are with black men, and they're more submissive, they treat them better, and shit like this. The fucked up thing is that white guys know this, and you are getting exploited for it. They just kept exploiting this woman. And they exploited her as a girl. It was just like a continuous cycle of exploitation. It was fucked up. It was fucked up. I bet you that was Irene Yvette's life. I am willing to bet you that was the entirety of her entire fucking life. Anyway, and now she wants black men to wage war against white men because they exploited her, or she allowed herself to be exploited by them. All right, now where was I? All right, so let's see. So it's clear the reputation that they have for parenting too. That stereotype is now a living thing. Other groups are starting to see it. That they are ruining the kids. That the single black mothers are deliberately ruining their kids for their own sake. They do not care about the kids, they care about themselves. So she was just sickening this daughter, her own damn daughter, for whatever reason. I guess she didn't want the daughter to compete with her, or who knows what the reason is, but it was all kind of fucked up. The daughter couldn't come out and play in the basement with the rest of the kids and all kind of shit. Fucked up indeed. All right, so that is how they are seeing black women. So she convinced the kids to. Oh, and then so the little blonde girl that taught her how to suck a dick, and then humiliated her afterwards, um, was jogging along. She was jogging. Why? Because staying in shape is important. It's important. But that is when you're trying to seduce a white guy who has standards. When you're married to a black guy and have a daughter and shit, there's no need. There's no need to lose weight, right? You could just let yourself go. So she runs her off the road and kills her. Just runs over her and kills her and just keep playing music. Um, Shit was wild. That's when she started going on her crazy killing spree. I won't go into much detail on that, but I just want to point out that she part of her envy. She was like, "You perfect people and your perfect bodies and shit like that." It's like, look, their bodies aren't perfect. They're just maximizing it. She's jogging. She jogs along the freeway where you ran her over. That is how they get these bodies that you envy so much. But instead of her doing that, you decide to try to fit in through what? Having a basement? They never said how she got the house. She has like a very low paying she has a very low level job, but I think in these small towns I think housing is cheap. so it doesn't take really much income to purchase a nice size house. Like all the movies that take place in small towns, you never really see like an apartment building in the middle of it. At worst, is a trailer park. So I'm thinking that that's the case with her. Hopefully, for her sake, that's the case. Anyway, um, so she runs the woman over, and then she begins to torture the people that tormented her when she was young, and fuck with their kids and all kind of fucked up shit. At the end, when the house was burning, she went to the dead body of the guy whose dick she was never fortunate enough to suck, and stayed in the burning house with her. And there you have it. That is how white men see black women. They don't actually say it. Just like those kids, they were saying about the youngest son or about the innocent white kid, they was like, "Oh, she is so into you." He was like, "Yeah, I know. Like she wants you bad." It was like, "Yes, I know. Like they know. They just don't say it. And they don't say it so they could continue to exploit you. And I'm not saying don't swirl. For Christ's sake, if you find yourself in Stacey Dash and Clueless, if that's you, then hey, you have your pick. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. I'm not saying don't interracially date, but this swirling shit is making y'all look thirsty as fuck. It's making y'all look thirsty as fuck. He told her to tell he told his girlfriend to tell her, I want her to meet me in the janitor's closet, and she did. The shit was just off. This was written by a white dude. I could see if this was like written by like a Tommy Sotomayor type dude who's just looking at it from the black side and like, I'm wondering if black women treat white men better than they treat black men. It's like, but nope, this is a white man. This is a white man writing this. This is how they see you. Crazy, clingy, desperate to fit in, poor parenting, um, working low wage jobs that appears to be, high wage. So she works in a vet's office where she shaves animals and shit all day, and you know and the actual vet is just treating her like shit. So she's working a job like that, and she's however working a low wage job that she passes off as a high wage job, which is common. Not a lot of things that sisters do. They like to dress. They like to overdress when they go to the office. Because they have that image, this strong, educated, independent, blah 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 blah. But when you look at net worth and earnings, when go ahead and Google it for yourself. They're lower than everyone. They look for image of high income, not the actual thing. So, and that's what she was doing. She goes in and she walks around with her scrubs on like she's a nurse or something like that, or like she's just high up in the medical field and shit like that. But really, she just shaves dogs and prepare them for shots and shit. She's tending to the animals. She's an animal tender, but so that's how they see it. It's a lot of things that we talk about in the black manosphere that this guy who is not black, who most certainly is likely not part of the manosphere or watch any of our videos, just observed in real life. In real life. Anyway, had enough of this. I try not to make my videos this long, but 30 minutes isn't going to kill anybody. This is Game Changer 00100. Game over.